it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live right now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content at all as we go along. If you find it useful, helpful, insightful, entertaining, or anything, give it a thumbs up. If you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this beautiful book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. I'm also the founder of asexualize.com, founder of Asexualize Academy. Well, welcome to tonight's episode where we're discussing, should you cuddle a friend? Now, this is quite a hot debated topic within the asexual community. And I think the reason why it's so debated and it's not so clear cut is because people are individuals, obviously, and within the asexual community, you've got those people. Oh, hi, Neela. Lovely to see you. You've got those who are aromantic asexuals, those that lack romantic attraction and lack sexual attraction. And you've also got the romantic asexuals that lack sexual attraction, but they still romantically attracted. Oh, hi, Claire. Nice to see you. You have to excuse me because my voice is still a bit like, because I've been talking, like last night's live stream was over 2 hours. And so my throat keeps kind of like going a little bit. Naylor, friend cuddles are life, helps build pack unity and bonding. Hi, new friend. Okay, I have to completely disagree with you, Naylor, in my personal life. I'm glad that you are different to me, which is why I'm saying this is a very, very hot debated topic. And I said that because obviously everyone's individuals, but personally, I would never ever cuddle with a friend because that cuddling isn't for friends. Friends is for a relationship, not for friendship. So this is why it's such a debated topic. So I know some asexuals that are aromantic asexuals. I know one in particular that we used to converse quite a lot a long time ago. And when we first started talking, he is an aromantic asexual. And I said to him that if I was in a relationship with someone and they were cuddling their friend, I would class that as cheating. And he said, well, I'm really, really sorry to hear that because I love cuddling my friends. It's something that I do. I'm not going to get into a relationship with him, but I was just, he thinks it's sad that my view was that, because obviously it's very different to his, where he couldn't live without cuddling his friends. My personal perspective is that cuddling should just be kept to a relationship because that's a relationship boundary. However, different people have different relationships. They have different boundaries. They have different things that they agree or disagree on. But I could never, ever be with someone who wanted to cuddle their friends, because that to me would be cheating on me. If a guy was to cuddle a friend or to kiss a friend, those both things would be cheating, because they would be doing something that they should only be doing within a romantic relationship, because obviously I'm a romantic asexual. So I have very strict boundaries between what I do with my friends and what I do in a relationship. And cuddling is something I would never do with a friend who is just my friend, right? It's something I don't do. And in relationships and dating, the best advice I can give you is to make sure before you get into a relationship with anyone that you are on the same hymn sheet. You are on the same wavelength, because if, for example, I ended up in a relationship with someone who went round cuddling their friends and I didn't know they were like that, and I'm already in a relationship and I see them cuddling their friend, they're betraying me. Do you know what I mean? They're cheating on me, but they might not see it like that. But that's why it's best to establish these things before you get into a relationship. Obviously, I have to say here, I'm monogamous, meaning I only want one person to be in a relationship with. if you are watching this now and you're polyamorous, so you can have relationships with multiple people at the same time, and it is agreed with your partner or partners to do that, because it should be an open, loving, caring, committed relationship with all the people involved in it, then obviously if you're polyamorous, you've agreed up front to kiss and cuddle other people anyway. So that is different if it's something that you is part of your relationship way. But I'm fiercely monogamous, so cuddling a friend, if I had a boyfriend that was cuddling a friend, he would be cheating on me, because I would only want to be with someone who is monogamous. So unless he lied about being monogamous, in which case he's no good for me anyway if he's a liar, then, you know, cuddling is strictly for me only in a relationship, and I want a person that's equally like that. So hi Claire again. Did I say hello to you before? I hope I did. Me and some of my friends always cuddled at recess till 6th grade when we didn't have recess anymore. We loved recess, playing and cuddles. It's a pack thing mostly. My friends are family, so I cuddle friends because I cuddle family. Hey, hi Sam. I'm glad you've come on the stream because you're like me. People think I flirt with people, and in reality, what they see as flirting is just me being me. I don't feel romantic attraction to everyone I talk to. I shut off those feelings and can keep it to one person if I'm in a relationship. Just got home from work. Hiya. Same here as you, Sandra. Exactly. So, like Naila, my friends are also like my family, but I don't cuddle them. So Sam is my best friend, right? Sam is amazing. We're such best friends, right? And I adore Sam, right? But I don't go cuddling Sam. I don't need physical contact cuddling to prove he is family, like family to me. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm bonded, like in a really deep friendship, soul connection way with them. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't cuddle all my friends, only some. But yeah, your boyfriend has to be all right with that, though, doesn't he? If your boyfriend's all right with that, that's fine. But when you're in a relationship, what does your boyfriend think is fine for you to do with other people, and what don't they think is fine? Or what have you agreed with them that's fine? Do you see what I mean? I don't cuddle any of my friends. You know, the only time I would cuddle a friend is if I made it clear, or they made it clear, that we wanted to be more than friends and go for a relationship. So there's like, obviously some asexuals, they will meet someone as their friend before getting into a relationship with them, right? So that you have a stage where you move from the friendship into the relationship or possible relationship, which is like the date. Oh, well, I know you said in the USA it's different, but in the UK, dating and quite a lot of sites online will say, you know, dating is the phase where you're not actually, a lot of the time, you're not actually totally committed to a long-term relationship. You're kind of seeing it whether you could be together. But dating, you know, involves kissing, cuddling, holding hands, usually that type of thing. So there's going to be someone come into your life, usually, if you do things the right way, but maybe something just, you know, sometimes it doesn't happen like that. Sometimes you have a person you don't know come into your life and it's like, wow, bam, we're going to give it a go. But usually relationships work best if you've got a friendship built first of all. So there might be, and there probably will be, someone in your life, if you're watching this video right now and you're single, that is your friend. Whether they might not be your friend now, they might be your friend in the future, and then you become more than friends. Do you see what I mean? And then obviously that that becomes a difficult phase as to how to say, actually, I like you more than a friend. I've done it though with my friends, and I'm still friends with them even though we're not in a relationship, because we're not suitable to be in a relationship. But we discussed it all without cuddling or physical touching, which is really, really good. So you don't have to, even if you're thinking about being in a relationship with someone, you don't have to do all the physical stuff. In fact, I say refrain from doing that physical stuff until you've actually decided theoretically where it'd be good to be in a relationship, because you don't want to get hurt. I agree that you should ask your mate first about friend cuddle rules. Oh, that's good. Yeah. I mean, you should really. I mean, You know, like I have strict boundaries, but you know, there are some asexuals, like I said, specifically, I know quite a few aromantic asexuals, and it's what they do. They cuddle their friends. They don't see a problem with it. And I don't think, you know, I think if you're single, you know, you can do what the heck you want. You're not really affecting anyone so long as that person's single. So, you know, it doesn't really matter in that instance, but it's going to matter in the future, because if you're cuddling them now, then all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm in a relationship now, I don't cuddle you anymore. That person might feel a bit hurt as to, well, you could cuddle me when you're a single and you're bored or you're lonely or you needed someone, but just because you're in a relationship now, you won't cuddle me anymore. Do you know what I mean? They might feel a bit peed off. So you'd really, you know, if you're going to start cuddling friends, you should be having a discussion about that if you do decide to get into a relationship, if that's going to change or not, so that they know down the line, all right, I might be cuddling you now because we're both single, we want to do that, but down the line, if I get a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever gender you like, that's going to stop. Do you see what I mean? Because it's not fair to the other person. I'm also a furry, and many furs cuddle even though they're friends, mostly just as cons in suit or at meetups. Yeah, I mean, again, you know, personally for me, whatever the circumstances is, I don't cuddle friends. It doesn't matter what the circumstances. There is one time you could argue that I cuddled a friend because it was longer than a hug, but it wasn't. It was because she was grieving. She lost her, she was a friend. I'm not interested or attracted romantically to women. And I don't think I would have done this if it was a guy, to be quite frank with you, because obviously a guy would be thinking, you know, it'd be too intimate with a guy. And it felt weird doing this with a girl, but she was grieving for her boyfriend that had died. And he died in tragic, unforeseen circumstances. And she needed someone to give her more than just a hug. So it's kind of a bit like an embrace, which is, it felt a bit weird, but I knew that's what she needed, and I've never done that before. I was friends with her since school, so it's not like I haven't known her for a long time, but it was more than just a normal hug. Like, I was holding her, but it's kind of more like an embrace hold, like, you're okay, you're going to be fine. She was grieving for about 18 months or 2 years. It was a long, long time because there was a trial and everything. I'm not going to go into it. It's personal stuff. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, so I think there may be exceptions where, you know, maybe someone's had something tragic happen or death or something like that. And, you know, especially if you're single, you might do that. But again, it can blur the boundaries. Doesn't really matter what circumstance it is. If it's something unusual that you don't usually do, you've got to be very careful you don't blur the boundaries and blur the essence of the relationship, whether that's friendship or more. Do you know what I mean? Ray, I cuddle all my work friends. Then again, they are all dogs. Yeah, Ray, you've got the best friends. Dogs. Nail, everyone's different. Or I wish I was around animals all the time. Yeah. Yeah, everyone is different, which is why I wanted to bring it up. And I think it's really important to say, you know, before you get into a relationship, if you're looking to get into a relationship, that you are aware of what the other person's like. And there are around the country cuddle groups, which you might have seen. There are meetups specifically where you can go to cuddle strangers. Personally, I wouldn't want to do that. I can hug a stranger now, like this, and off again. So I can do that. I couldn't do that for years, till 2012, when I went to a business seminar, and this guy, Tony Robbins, who's a very big entrepreneur, life coach guy, he got us to like run around and hugging people we'd never met in our life before, business people. And it was one of the most bizarre things I ever done in my life, because I was a non-touchy person. Like, I would hug my parents goodbye, but that was it, or a boyfriend if I was in a relationship with someone, you know, that my boyfriend at the time, that was it. I wouldn't like be a huggy person or any touching person. I didn't like anyone near me touching me. And so in 2012, yeah, I went to this big business seminar with Tony Robbins. If you ever Google him, you know he's huge. And he completely changed my life as well, not just with that, but with energy. You know, like basically, if you're in a miserable state, if you're feeling depressed, low, you have to change your state, which means you change your physiology, you change the way, you know, your body is, you put music on that's going to invigorate you, enliven you, and all this type of thing. So, it's really, really important that, you know, that if you are in a depressed state, you do change your mood by doing something different, breaking the pattern, as it were. But the one thing I learned there is I did actually start hugging people. I'd never done it in my life before. And there was this guy, and he was just really the first guy I ever hugged, and he was huge, like body mass. He was a big guy, and he was tall, and he had this bald head with this white flyaway hair. And I just remember thinking, if I can hug this guy, which he wasn't very aesthetically attractive at all, if I can hug this guy, I can hug anyone. And that was the start of my hug journey, because, and even then I wasn't comfortable back then doing it. I don't hug every person I meet, but I am able to do like meetups. If someone wants a hug, hello or goodbye, then I'll do that, which is a bit weird considering how I was years ago. But I've learned that I feel better being that type of person, but I still won't cuddle, because cuddle obviously something, you know, different for a lot. Like, what is the difference between a cuddle and a hug? So like let me show you. So if I was getting like my some people don't know the difference, do they? I had an aromantic friend, I think they might still watch this channel sometimes, and they were like, oh, what's the difference between like hug, cuddle and all the rest of it? What did Naylor say? On the mention of a sad friend, a friend of mine who was really young was crying because she was in trouble while I was over. So instead of spending time with her brother like I wanted, I chose to mental shift and let my wolf side take over. She was sitting on the bed, and I hopped on and laid next to her, and doggo instincts took over to comfort her, and she felt better and eventually stopped crying. Yeah, I mean, there are, like I said, there are circumstances, because there are, you know, like exceptional circumstances. I think if someone's, you know, like, especially if you're a single person and, you know, you haven't got any other partner, you know, if someone's grieving and they're really upset and all that lot, you know, you have to decide in the moment, really. But I mean, I would be weary of ever doing that with a guy, because obviously I'm into guys romantically. I'd be very wary of ever doing that with a guy more than I, you know, like, to be honest, I don't usually do it with people. You know, I don't usually cuddle anyone I'm not attracted to. Like even when I'm at business seminars, right? I know even though it's in like you're taught, like I've seen Tony Robbins again a couple of years ago, and we had to do this all over again, where you go round jumping, and you know, like you literally go round, like you're on, like, you know, like speed dating, but instead of dating, you're not dating, you're literally, you know, it's to warm the audience up and keep us moving. You know, you're literally going around hugging people, like hello hug. It's really quick. It's not like you're sat going hugging one person. It's like hug person, next person, next person, next person. And you're supposed to have 3 minutes to go around hugging as many people as you possibly can in the room. But I'm usually aware of who I get attracted to and not in the moment. I'm very consciously aware, even though it's like split second. And there's this one guy, and I think I jumped. Like, he was end up with my legs around his waist, and I fancied him. I wouldn't do that with someone I don't usually fancy, right? And he was a very good looking guy, actually, from what I remember, foreign. And I'm like, oh yeah, I think I like this a bit of too much. But then there was this older guy that hugged me. I say older, I think he was 50s, and he liked it too much. He got a sexual thrill out. I could tell by his face, and it just disgusted me, because I don't like physical contact with older guys. But having said that, the first guy I hugged back then, he was a lot older than me. The one that I thought, well, if I can hug him, I can hug anyone. And so, do you know what I mean? Naylor, again, I'm not human on the inside. Ray, people don't call me by my name where I live. They call me Ray Wolf. I'm not surprised. Right, yes. So people, sometimes people don't understand what the difference between a cuddle and a hug is, right? And there's can be different types of hugs as well. So I'm gonna, I know you love my demonstrations here, the live demonstrations, right? So if I was, right, so if I was like, I'll do it with, like, yeah. We're going for Mickey Mouse, who I got from, I feel like I'm like opening his nappy or something. So it's a bit disgusting. This is something I got from Disneyland Paris. He's actually a cushion as well as a cuddly toy. So if I was just like, this is so funny. If I was just like giving him a hug, oh my God, I can't do it like that. It needs to be around. If I was just giving him like a hug, it would be more like, you know, like this. I can't really do it on the bed because it's not something you would hug a person on a bed, because I wouldn't be on a bed with the person I'd be hugging. But, you know, like a hug, can you see that all right? It would just be, like, you know, it wouldn't be on their head. It'd be like to the side usually. Like if it's a friend, like, you know, you'd have like one hand there or whatever, one hand there, and you'd be like this to the side of their face usually, you know, or that's how it goes, kind of natural. But it's very like, you know, like that quick. If I was cuddling, you know, I'm cuddling, then I'm like this. Do you know what I mean? I've got them tight to my body. I'm like cuddling them. So if I was with a guy who I fancied and I was sat watching for example, watching the TV with him, I wouldn't be getting much watching the TV done because I'd be kissing him. But if we're a couple, obviously. If we weren't a couple, no. But obviously, like if we were sat watching TV, like we'd be like cuddling, like his arm would be like round my neck or whatever, or round my back, and I would have my arm around his back or whatever, and you'd be cuddling while you're watching the TV. Do you see what I mean? But that's not what I do with my friends. It's just too intimate. Do you know what I mean? So if it's like so you know, like if I'm hugging a friend, it's just, you know, like this. But there's different types of hugs. So if it's more of a business, some people in business, how can I put it? Some like I used to work as a fitted bedroom specialist, right? And I used to have designers working for me. And there's this one older designer who, well, middle-aged maybe, a bit old. I think he was like 50, might be going towards 60. And anyway, so he was like a kind of a little bit posh, and he was kind of like hug the women, hello, and all this lot. Because you do get some designers that are a bit like that. They're like, oh, hello. And so anyway, so he, you know, like there's different types of hugs. So a friend that you know a bit more, you might like go like this for a bit longer. But someone who's like a business person who you don't really know that well, you just be like that really quickly. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like you spend different amounts of time in the hug depending on how well you know the person, how intimate you want to get with them, to basically be quite honest. And then obviously the hug, you know, it's like, you know, if I'm having a boyfriend, I'll be cuddling him, right? Because he's my boyfriend and I want to cuddle him. Do you see what I'm saying? So so that's why it's, you know, it's really important to define what the difference is between a hug and a cuddle is. And there's different, like, you know, you can get some websites, you can Google different types of hugs. So I think there's more than 2 hugs. There's probably like, you know, like there's probably like I think there's one where you're completely like, you know, like some people, they'll just literally put their face up like this and quickly go away. They won't even like barely get near the person. They'll just be like this and back again. Do you know what I mean? It'll be like really weird. And some people will do it really, some people that, like, for example, guys, they'll sort of like come around the guys. If it's a guy on a guy, they might be like patting each other on the back like this. Do you know what I mean? Really quickly. Like, all right, mate. And they keep their face further away from them. Obviously, if they're having a modern bromance, as they call it, which is not people who are gay, but they look like they're gay. Do you know what I mean? Because they're getting friendly. A bromance, like there used to be 2 guys in work that I used to like make jokes with, oh, you're like having a bromance, because, you know, like if 2 guys are hugging that are supposed to be just friends rather than interested in a relationship, they kind of go like, oh, nice to see you, you know. And so it's a prolonged hug. So yeah, so oh, hi Heather, nice to see you. Speaking of my boyfriend loves my cooking. I don't know how, but if I'm a good cook, I didn't know how I could cook. All right, I hate cooking. That's really good. Don't forget the bro hug. I don't have any brothers or sisters, so I don't exactly know what a bro hug is. Hi, Naila. Hey, I think it's mostly customs. In France, they greet kissing the cheek. In USA, that'd be weird. Yeah, I had a friend who was foreign, not from France, but I was out with her clubbing, and there was these guys from, like, I don't know if they were actually from France or another one of those areas, and they were like kissing on the cheek, going mwah, mwah, like that. So, but then we were out clubbing, and the guys fancied us. So, although they were being like their custom, they also fancied us at the same time. Claire, I enjoy cuddling but need to feel safe, so I generally only cuddle people with whom I have or have had a romantic relationship. Ah, right, that's interesting. So you cuddle people who have you been your exes, do you? Yeah, you see, I would never ever cuddle an ex. Once they're an ex, that's it. I don't do romance. I mean, everyone's different, obviously. I'm not saying, you know, not to do it, because your life is your life and you have your ways. But personally, I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with someone who was cuddling their ex because it's their ex. They shouldn't be intimate with their ex, because that's my belief. Do you know what I mean? Which we all have different beliefs. I never cuddle an ex. They might get the wrong idea. Of course they get the wrong idea. You're still being intimate with them. So unless you're, and I do know there's some people in my books, I think there's even at least one in my asexual book, and they cuddle someone who is, you know, they talk about being affectionate with a person and cuddling them, but they actually want a relationship with that person, just the person's not ready for a relationship. They're still doing physical and intimate stuff. Now, if you look at dating coaches, they will say as well, don't get involved in doing intimate stuff because it blurs the boundaries, you know, and don't get, if you don't want to, you know, like say you've got a guy or a girl or any gender, say you've got a person, right? They are attracted to you. They potentially want a relationship with you, but they don't want to commit to you. If you are then cuddling that person and being intimate with them when they are not committed to you, that usually ends in heartache and heartbreak, unless you're a person who can detach easily, because they are getting their intimacy fix from you despite not committing to the actual relationship. So in that instance, usually you should move on. Say, no, you're not in a relationship with me. You don't want to be. You've made it perfectly clear you don't want to be. Therefore, I am moving on in my life. I'm going to find the right person for me. If, you know, we were in a relationship, that was our intimacy. We're no longer in a relationship. You don't get that right to cuddle my body, to be intimate with me when you're not in a relationship with me anymore. You gave up that right. Someone else has that right, who I want to have that right in the future. Do you see what I mean? So Naila, I'd never cuddle an ex. They might. Oh right, Sam, I would only cuddle a present romantic partner. Exactly, I'm exactly the same as Sam. We're best friends. You can tell. Naila, everyone's different. I respect and understand other people's ways. What I call personal customs. People shouldn't judge another based on their personal customs. Claire, the ex I have cuddled with is unattached and I really needed comfort. Normally I would not cuddle an ex if they were in a relationship. I've stayed very close to this person. I'm monogamous. I get the feeling, Claire, though, that you would be with them in a relationship if you could be. Is that right? From what I read there? Because you want them to comfort you and they're your ex. So I'm guessing, you know, that you would be in a relationship with them if you could be, if things were right between you. Do you know what I mean? I mean, obviously, if you're single, you can do, and they're single, you can do what the heck you like in terms of, you know, it really doesn't matter. You're not hurting, well, you could be hurting yourself, actually, but you're not really hurting anyone else but yourself, possibly. And you know, so it's, you know, when you're single, you can do what you like. You don't have to answer to anyone else. You don't have to think about anyone else's heart apart from the person that you're doing that with. But that is the thing, you see. You know what I mean? If you're being intimate with another person, it's not just about you. I'm not just saying this to you, Claire, sorry. I don't mean it to sound personal to you. I'm talking about anyone. You've got to think it's not just you, it's the other person, how they think about it. So I had this conversation with an asexual. That's why I'm saying I'm not aiming at you, Claire, just to make sure that you're not thinking it's you. I mean, I'm saying because I've spoke to a person about this. It's not just about what you feel doing that. It's about what they feel and they experience. So whenever we do something with another person, we have to be aware that it's an action and reaction, a feeling between two people. So, for example, potentially someone could cuddle me. I am attracted to them, but they're just thinking it's a cuddle. It means nothing. Who's going to get hurt here? Them or me? I'm going to get hurt. But that's okay for them to cuddle me because they ain't got a problem with it. It means nothing to them. So equally, if I cuddled someone, which I'm not going to do outside relationship unless I want to date them, interested in relationship with them, it's someone I've met out, you know, and I'm you know, we're dating, interested in relationship or doing whatever, because it's not a friend person, just a friend, then you know what I mean? If I did something to someone else, I have to think of how they feel, not just how I feel. If I'm trying to say, for example, if I was trying to say, well, to me, you know, I don't feel that way, or I've managing my feelings. What about them? It's not just about the person. It's about both people, givers and receivers. And that's the same in any scenario. Do you know what I'm saying? There's always two people involved. That's why it's much better to make sure that you know exactly what's happening before it happens, if you know what I mean. So you've discussed it. But there are, like I said, there are so I mean, when you say, you know, like I you know, obviously it's up to people what they do. You know, whatever you do, whatever you're happy with, so long as you and the person that you're doing it with is happy, you're both happy with it, truly happy, then, you know, it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks, does it? Sam, but I'm not a touchy person in general outside a relationship. Yeah, me too. Naylor, we see animals cuddle each other to bond and think nothing of it. People cuddle, we label it as a relationship. I'm not really sure what our relationship is. We used to be physical. They are allo, but I feel almost like we are in QPR. Thanks, but I don't attack or called out. Thanks for being sensitive. I feel almost like we are a QPR. Yeah, I don't want you to get hurt, Claire. I don't want you to get hurt. But yeah, if you think you're in a QPR, that's more than a friendship, isn't it? That's what some people in QPRs are queer platonic, you know, for life, if you know what I mean. But I have to tell you something else, right? I've said this before in a video a long time ago. So again, I'm not just saying it because of the people in the chat or anything like that. If you go back through my videos, you'll find this. And I've said, beware of sexuals in particular using asexuals, right? I've had it tried to be done to me, right? Because they basically think, right, they can get their sex somewhere else. They can be in a relationship with someone else. But the person in the relationship is not, I know people women as well who are not asexual, who have been seeing guys like this, married men or men in relationships, and they are, you know, even they get used. So what it is like, particularly with asexuals, we tend to be very, how can I put it, in comparison, like sometimes, like if two sexual people, heterosexuals for example, are going through bad times, or the guy or the girl, in my experience it's guys because I talk about guys, so a guy sometimes with a woman, he's not being right with her, right? He's not giving her what she needs, and therefore, or you know, it could be that she does, you know, I'm not saying it's all the guy's fault, but anyway, something's going on in the relationship, and instead of them fixing it in the relationship, sometimes the sexual will become friends with an asexual, and they'll get that deep friendship, relationship, and soulmate and emotional connection that they're not getting with their other partner, with their actual partner they're in a relationship with. And they will use the asexual. They might not call it using. They might not even be consciously aware they're using the asexual. They think that you're their friend, you're getting something out of it. You want friendship, you don't want sex. You're getting a deep emotional connection, friendship out of it. But it's the way some asexuals can get hurt, depending on what type of person you are, because the sexual is using you as an outlet for like emotional connection, things that they don't have with their heterosexual partner, because they're not doing things to make it work with them, and you're like the bit on the side without the sex. Do you see what I mean? So just because a lot of asexuals don't have sex doesn't mean to say you can't be their bit on their side. Do you know what I'm saying? And so as heterosexuals can have bits on the side, as in people on the side that they're having sex with, an asexual can be given that emotional connection to them that they're not getting in a relationship. and that can be like very deep and meaningful to them, but they won't leave their partner. No, because they want the sex. And so they kind of, and if the asexual's lonely, or the asexual's, you know, needs that connection because they feed a need in within asexuals, they can use and abuse in that way. So you have to be very, very, very careful. Thanks, I appreciate it. I don't want to get hurt. Yeah, Claire, I'm just concerned about you. Life will get better. You might have to make a hard decision based on what you want in a relationship. I've been in different situations. My last relationship was the hardest to leave behind, but I ended up with one of the best gentlemen I've ever met. Exactly, Naila. Sometimes you have to leave something behind that's not what you really want and give up something, even though it hurts, to get something better. If it's going down an unearthly route for you, you have to fight the fear of what could happen if you let go. You could end up finding the right person. Good point about ace bit on the side. Yeah, Claire. A lot of people don't know that, but I cottoned on to that a while ago because guys have tried to do stuff like that with me. And I've seen it. I've seen the pattern with them, particularly heterosexual guys, because they can get from us that deep emotional friendship bond that they're not getting with their woman. I do know how that works. I know how it feels, and it's horrible. Everyone wants a taste of real love from us. Exactly. I mean, it does really prove that asexuals give the most purest, deepest, emotional soulmate love, in my opinion. I know sexuals probably won't agree, but you know, but I think some, you know, like even some people that aren't asexual that can't have sex, right? I was reading, because I do a lot of research and read lots of stuff, and I was trying to find if there's any dating site for people who are impotent, right? Because potentially impotent people could be with asexuals if they can't have sex, and obviously everyone needs love, so there's quite a lot of impotent people out there that are feeling unloved right now. So they think they can't get anyone without sex and no one will love them. They've been in relationships that have fallen apart because they can't get it up or whatever. So, you know, so my point was, I was looking through this, and there was some women talking and said in the comments that the person that they were with that was impotent, that couldn't have sex, they were some of the most loving guys they've ever been in a relationship with, because they made sure that everything else they were paid attention to on all the other things, because the guy couldn't have sex with them. They made sure everything else was really top notch, that all their physical needs were taken care of, the women's physical needs without the penetration and everything like that. And the women said they're the best lovers, or, you know, relationship they've ever had in their life. And I do believe that's likely true, because, you know, if a guy can't have penetration with a woman, being very intimately speaking here, then if he is sexual in nature as well, he'll still want to kind of have some physical intimacy. And, you know, if he knows that he can't please the woman sexually because he's heterosexual, for example, just he can't get it up because he's impotent, he wants to make sure she doesn't leave him, to be quite honest, and because she's got other options with guys, doesn't she, if she's not impotent herself and she's sexual. So because this wasn't an asexual site, this was a site for, this was a blog post about impotency and about should a impotent dating site be created, that, you know, dating site for impotency people. And so because I thought if I ever have a dating site, I could include possibly impotent people and people who are disabled that couldn't have sex could come on the asexual site with us, but I don't know how asexuals feel about that. But, you know, if it's a no sex dating site, you know, it could be that someone's, you know, can list down their asexual, but also people can list they're impotent, or, but obviously you get people who lie, who just make it up. And some people that are impotent, they're not impotent permanently. Sometimes they can't get it up, other times they can. So do you know what I mean? So it's a bit dangerous in that way. But so I was reading through the comments, and yeah, this is what the women were saying. There was more than one. There was quite a few, you know, 3 or 4, I think I read as I was going down the comments that said that. And so you know, because they focus on all the other things, because they want the work to keep the woman, don't they? Because she's got loads of people she could go out with. So I think, you know, like with asexuals as well, we can give this deep, emotional, strong connection and bond to the person that they're not getting in their relationship, and that's why they look to us. But don't be used, because we can be used. You know, if that person gets someone else, for example, then, so say I decided I wanted to cuddle a friend, right? I personally couldn't cuddle someone who I wasn't attracted to in some way, where it's aesthetically, romantically, emotionally, some sort of attraction. I couldn't do it. If I was repulsed by the way they looked, or physical, if I couldn't physically touch them, then I couldn't cuddle them, right? And so I'm not talking about hugging, I'm talking about cuddling now. And so, you know, you have to decide that if you're single, that, yeah, that could be fine, but what's going to happen when you get into a relationship? And, you know, do you feel attraction for them? Because they, like I said, it might be nothing to them and something to you, because every person's different. But when you're doing the cuddling, you shouldn't just be thinking about, I'm not saying this to a specific person, but you shouldn't just be thinking about, oh, I'm okay with it, I can control my emotions and feelings, it doesn't bother me or hurt me, I don't think anything of it. What about the other person? Just because you're not thinking anything of it. It's like, I have some people come into my dating groups sometimes, or they private message me on dating sites. I'm like, what sort of relationship are you after? I don't know. And that's no good to the other person. All they're thinking about is themselves. They're like, oh, I don't know. Who knows? I'm not fussy. That's not helpful. They're only thinking, they're not even thinking things through. They're not thinking of another person. I can tell those people are not ready for relationships. They're not even thinking about the other person. They're not even thinking whether they want marriage with the person, kids with the person, living together, moving countries. Then another person, all they're thinking, they're not even thinking. But if they are thinking about anyone, it's themselves, not other people. They're just like, oh, I'll have whatever comes my way. Do you know what I mean? Because they're that desperate for anyone that they can't narrow it down to a specific person. You need to narrow it down to a type of person that you want, ideally, like your ideal avatar of a person. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's why most of my exes wish they'd stayed. Yeah, Naylor, exactly. But they don't get that privilege. You have to understand that exes are usually an ex for a reason, and you should be really blocking the ex out of your life the majority of the time, getting rid of them. You know, get rid of them unless you think you're definitely going to have a relationship with them. There's no why do you need the emotional attachment with them? We need to try and detach from ourselves, you know, from them as much as possible. I mean, obviously they might be still really good friends of yours, but then, you know, how can you let a new love into your life if you still got some attachment to that person that you used to be in a relationship with? It's very fine line. You've got to be very careful. Some people are still friends with their exes, but that's because they still have feelings for them. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, like, it's best really to let exes go. They're ex for a reason. And if you're at all in your head thinking there's a possibility of a relationship with an ex still, it might happen again in the future, you can't move on and completely open your heart up to another person. It'll keep you stuck in where you are now, instead of moving forward in your life to get a better person for you, who can commit to you and give you the time, energy and effort that you deserve. I'm not going to be with a guy who can just put 10% effort into me. I'm not going to be with a guy who just wants me as his cuddle buddy. I'm not here to do that. You know, if he wants a cuddle buddy, don't join a cuddle group, which, you know, I was mentioning earlier, there are cuddle groups. But I wouldn't be happy if I was in a relationship with a guy who was going around in a cuddle group, because I'm like, hang on a minute, you're cuddling loads of people. To me, you only do that in a relationship, which is why I need someone like me. It's why it's very important you establish all these things early on. And it blurs boundaries. Like, if I started cuddling a friend, I couldn't cuddle a friend I wasn't actually attracted to in some way, which I've already said. So obviously there was an attraction. Whenever there's an attraction, there's a question mark over, is this going to be a potential relationship ever at all? Whether it's consciously or subconsciously, that's what happens. Because if you like in each other's company, and then you take it to an intimacy level of cuddling, which cuddling is a more intimate level, then obviously it's become more than like a friendship, an ordinary friendship. Do you know what I mean? And so, you know, that can make you more emotionally attached to the person cuddling them, and that's dangerous for you if you don't want to let them go later on, and they, you know, they say someone else comes into their life and they're like, actually, I'm in a relationship now, I can't do this anymore. And you're like, oh my god, but you cuddled me when you were single and sad or lonely or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I have questions that I wish I'd known answers to. My boyfriend doesn't know why he blushes when he blushes. He's never let anxiety stop him from not doing something he wanted to do. He's almost always in a calm, laid-back state. Mysteries I shall find the answers to. I have found control of my emotions, and I'm able to completely rid of some emotions. I'm friends with 3 of my exes. I see them as friends and nothing more. They know that since I made it clear. Controlling the mind of oneself is very interesting. Yeah, but you also have to know that their intentions, those three X's intentions, might not be good for you. Just because you've made that clear doesn't mean to say that they've got other ideas or not. And how does your boyfriend feel about that? Do they mind or not? Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, some people are still friends with their exes. So, you know, you have to take each situation as it is. But I would just, he doesn't mind it. Well, that's okay then, as long as they definitely understand. But, you know, most sexuals, in my experience in particular, they don't, most of them can't do just friendships, most sexuals, close friendships, shall I say. I'm even openly friends with other guys and he's chilled. Yeah, well, I think it's important for you to have other friends. I don't think you should not have friends of the opposite gender or, you know, like, whoever you're attracted, like whatever gender you're attracted to. I still think you should have friends. Like, I've got guy friends. I would never ever stop seeing my guy friends just because I was in a relationship. If the guy didn't like it, yeah, most of my friends are guys as well, Naylor. So exactly, I won't give up my guy friends. And I don't think, you know, you should give up your friends for anyone. I just think that you have to establish boundaries early on between you, your friends, and your partner, that type of thing. Trans and cis, someone non-binary. Yeah, well, my friend Sam, who's in this chat, they're non-binary. But my friend Andy, who comes on here quite a bit, they're a guy. Ray, who's my friend now, he's a guy. I've got a person who's a friend who's trans, but I never knew them before, so all I know them is a guy. I don't know them any other way. Only two things I do with a mate and not a friend. Kisses and holding hands. Only two things I do with a mate and not a friend. Kisses and holding hands. By mate, you mean boyfriend, partner, don't you? Because obviously mate in the UK means a male friend. That's what the word mate means. Do you know what I mean? If I say I'm with my mate down the pub, it means I'm with a bloke down the pub who's my friend. That's what mate means. Unless you're talking about sex mating, obviously. You see, I wouldn't. Like, I wouldn't kiss, cuddle, or hold hands with someone who's just my friend. Because that, to me, is reserved for a romantic relationship. That's why everything, you've got to make sure that if you're going into a relationship or potential relationship, that you are, in USA, mate is another way of saying who you're dating or married to. Yeah, I mean, sometimes people can say mates for life, as in partners for life. I think mate's got a lot of different meanings, to be honest. But it's just, if I say about my mate, it means it's a guy I'm not attracted to at all, usually. And he's just like a mate down the pub. But yeah. But some people say mates for life, don't they? As in partners for life. So, you know, you do have that phrase over in the UK as well, I guess. But yeah, so, you know, I mean, obviously there are, like I said, there are aromantic asexuals. And I know from talking to them, they couldn't be without cuddling their friends. It's just something that's inbuilt into them that they wouldn't want to be without doing. So they would need someone, if they're going into a QPR with them, they would need someone who's equally feels exactly the same way for it to not be cheating. Do you know what I mean? And for it to be fine and just normal. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's very important that you establish boundaries with friends and in a relationship, and you think what you would do, you know, like dating, relationship, friends, you know, like if I'm dating, if I'm attracted to a guy I would like to be potentially be in a relationship with, then I will kiss, cuddle, and hold his hand. You know, if I, you know, someone I would really like to be in a relationship with, you know, then I will do all those things with the guy because I want to be in a relationship with him. I want intimacy with him because I don't want to just be his friend. It was derived from the Bible and from animals, mostly ones that stay together forever till death. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I think they do use it in the UK as well. Like I said, mates for life is like partners for life. Marriage mate, the Bible references. Oh, I don't read the Bible, so I wouldn't know. But thanks for letting us know. It's interesting information. But yeah, so obviously, you know, like if there's any asexuals that want to cuddle their friends. I know some people, they cuddle, the asexuals cuddle their friends in bed. Like, I could never do that as well. To me, that should be reserved for relationship. And I'll tell you, if you ever get into a relationship with a sexual, usually, you know, if you cuddled one of your, if like, so for example, if I got into a relationship with a sexual guy and he found me in bed cuddling my friend, he would think I was cheating on him. Do you know what I mean? Even if sex wasn't involved, he would likely think I was cheating on him. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, in the heterosexual world, if you're in bed with another person who's not in a relationship with you, then it's cheating usually. Do you know what I mean? So you have to understand that, like, a lot of the asexual rules sometimes are very different to the heterosexual rules. You know, like, if I found a heterosexual guy in bed with another woman, likely he would actually be having sex with her, or want to have sex with her, or doing sexual acts with her. Do you see what I mean? Not necessarily an asexual will be doing that, but, you know, like, even if you're in bed with someone, you know, if you're cuddling them, you're touching their breasts. Usually, you know, if a guy was cuddling me, if he's cuddling around my front, he's got his chest pressed against my breast. If he's cuddling me from the back, he's got his penis in my back. This is how cuddling goes for men and women. Do you know what I mean? So it depends what you're doing and how you're doing it. Yes, you could kind of sit on the edge of the bed if you want and then cuddled round like that, I guess, with more space. But, you know, that's kind of between a cuddle and a hug. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, that would just be weird. So usually when you're cuddling, you're touching some sort of your body part is touching. Speaking of mates, I'm going to catch up to my mate and see what he's up to. I'll see you tomorrow. May love light your path and light shield your heart from darkness. Oh, that's lovely. Love that, Naila. Yeah, thank you. I love the lightness. Yes, you too. Appreciate you being here. Thank you. I always like to hear what you have to say, even though we sometimes we're the same. We agree on something, sometimes we don't. So it's good. It's all good. It's that's what it's here for, a chat show. Do you know what I mean? To have chat and debate. It's really good. So night. Yeah, so, you know, at the end of the day, you're an adult. It's your decision whether you cuddle someone or not. But you just have, I just want you, when you're going forward, I just want you to remember it's not just you that's affected by what you do with someone. It's the other person as well. And equally, they should be thinking about you, not just them. And please do take heed of what I said, that some sexuals do use asexuals for the emotional connection, deep, bestest ever friendship, soulmate connection that they're not actually getting with their partner. There was someone in one of my asexual groups, a guy who's asexual, and he was such good friends with this woman who was heterosexual that her husband couldn't stand it. And he said, well, you know, her husband's not being very understanding. We're really close and all the rest of it. She talks to me, messages me, you know, and he's like a bit jealous. But I think he had reason to be a bit jealous and a bit like, you know, why are you going for your intimate, you know, why are you going to another guy if you've got problems and stuff? Why are you having, it was the emotional connection. He did say it was the emotional connection, the bond that they had between each other, that the husband, you know, felt, I don't know if they used the word jealous, but he wasn't happy with it. And I can kind of, you know, I can understand why, if because an asexual can provide a very deep, emotional, intimate connection that some sexuals just can't do. They don't think like that. Like, I was in heterosexual relationships for half of my life, and when I was in them, I never felt like I could deeply emotional connect with the person in the relationship like I can do even with my asexual friends. And so for me, it's been very difficult separating attraction from friendship, because for me, I don't experience, because I'm kind of different to most asexuals on the planet, because I don't experience any platonic attraction. That's why I have some attraction for my close friends in some way, different attractions for different ones, because I don't experience any platonic attraction. I just don't have that. I just don't, you know, it jumps from boing to boing, you know. The people that I have no attraction for, that my friends, I don't see that often, and they're like the word mate. You know, I'd say, like, you're my mate down the pub. I see you occasionally, I chat to you, have a conversation with you. There's very much no feelings there whatsoever, you know. And it's more of a how can I put it, more of a like acquaintance friend, but a bit more than acquaintance friend, because it might be someone I, you know, like meet up with like once every few months or something, that I'm, you know, don't really keep much contact with the rest of the time. So it literally is like a mate I could see, you know, and if we see each other, we see each other. If we don't, we don't. Do you see what I mean? But obviously with my best friends, it's like I really need, want, and like to see them. Do you know what I mean? I want them to be a part of my life every week. You know what I mean? Several times a week. Do you know what I mean? Talk to them and stuff. So it's different, but it's very difficult for me because even having deep emotional connections with friends is very intimate to me, and it's something I would only usually do in the past in a relationship. And so that's why it's kind of like weird for me, because I wasn't used to deep emotional connections with friends, only in a relationship in the past. And so therefore that blurs a sense of relationship versus friendship for me personally. I found that good because I've got really deep friendships now, people who really care about me. Do you know what I mean? But I've also found that difficult and struggled in the sense that it kind of throws me off balance a bit. It's a bit like, aren't I supposed to feel like this by someone I'm in a relationship with? Yeah, and I'm not in a relationship with this person. Do you know what I mean? It's a very weird feeling. And so I think that's something that I would just get more and more used to over time, that I'm really not used to. But I think in the past, part of it is because I didn't have very good friends. I had, you know, in my childhood, I had people that didn't really care about me. The friendship relationship was very one-sided. I used to have more women friends. Well, I didn't used to have hardly any friends, but it was like one woman friend at a time. You know, I don't get on with women in general like I do with guys, but there are some women. I mean, obviously Heather comes in this stream chat. I get on well with Heather. She's really lovely. My best female friend I do have, I'm seeing her tomorrow, which is going to be amazing. So I do have some female friends in my life, but they are less than the guy friends because, you know, I didn't, you know, like the women were more horror. I used to get bullied by women at school, mostly more than guys. So I don't have a really, you know, like overall sense, you know, unless some entrepreneur women friends, a couple of them that I really, you know, well, I don't like saying the word fond of because that sounds weird, but you know, like I like them a lot as friends because they're really nice people. So it's not like I think every woman's bad or anything, and I'm a girl myself, do you know what I mean? But in general, I just get on better with guys. But I think it's because of the past when I didn't have very close friends, you know, all the friends I did have, it was one-sided relationship a lot of the time, you know, and it wasn't like they really valued me or cared about me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just wasn't. And so, you know, it's different now. And I think that's taken me a long time to get used to that. I'm still getting used to that. It's nice, but I've never ever had such close guys. It's just my friends. And so, like, sometimes it feels a bit weird in the sense like I should be in a relationship with this person because this is what I should be feeling like in a relationship. But then I'm like, well, I can't be in a relationship with that person because we're not right to be in a relationship with each other. And then it's like, oh, that's a bit weird. Do you know what I mean? Thanks for the thumbs up. Love you lots. So I think, you know, that's something personally for me that I'm still exploring, still on the journey with, still embracing, still getting used to. But it's going well. I think it's because obviously you've got to give more trust as well, which I'm not used to. You know, I'm not used to someone, you know, like it's good because they're trustworthy and I'm trustworthy. But I'm not, you know, like, it's different, isn't it? You know, but it's like, you know, I'm a bit of a loner. I find it hard to trust people. Yes, Ray, but I know you trust me. You told me that when we first started talking. You trust me. I know you trust me, but I do understand there's a lot of people that take advantage of people and not, you know what I mean? You've got to be very careful who you trust. Yeah, Ray. Yeah, Sam's the same as you, Ray. But yeah, but you know, it is. I find it hard to trust people. Yeah, I do, exactly. It was nice that you trusted me. I trust Sandra implicitly though. Oh, I'll give you a kiss as my friend. Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much. Yeah, I trust Sam implicitly. Sam is the first person I've totally trusted 100% in my life. After 3 days of the first meetup, it's like, wow. They were in my group for quite a long time before we met up in person though. And I remember I sent them a dice as well for one Christmas. I didn't know Sam that well when I sent them the dice because they collect dice. So if you got any dice, Sam wants them. So yeah, thank you, Sam. I really appreciate that. So yeah, I think yeah, for me, it's like, wow, I've never had such close friendships. I haven't had that. I know Sam's had quite close friendships with his female friends before, but I've never had that with guys before. or people that are, obviously Sam's non-binary now, so which is a bit better for me, really. It's like, yeah, you're non-binary now. I'm more attracted to cis guys. But you know, it's just like Sam likes a lot of the same guys that I do, which is quite funny as well. It's really quite funny. I love that. And that's a good thing about having guy friends or non-binary friends that like guys. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, then we both like, you know, we both like the same guys and can talk about it. It's quite funny and good, I think. So yeah, I mean, me and Sam have got exactly the same boundaries: no kissing, no cuddling, no holding hands with someone outside relationship. And you know what I mean? We're both like that. I mean, Sam doesn't go around snogging Indian guys in the nightclub yet, but yeah, I'm saying he might be. They might be tempted. Sorry, that's the word he. Oh my god, first time tonight. Yeah, so they might. You never know. They might follow my lead. Yeah, I decided at the moment that I'll stay single and just go and get some kisses sometimes, occasionally, when I want them and need them, or if someone comes along that's the right person, and not be in a relationship, because I'm not going to get into a relationship with a guy unless he really wants to commit to me and actually has the time, energy, and effort to put into a relationship. So yeah. So going back to the beginning of this video, should you cuddle a friend? My personal experience and opinion, no, I don't think you should, because I think it blurs the boundaries, personally. But obviously, you're your own person, so you decide for yourself where it's right for you or not. But don't forget to consider the person who you're cuddling, their feelings as well. And don't forget, if you're both single but want to get into a relationship with someone else and you're not polyamorous, so you don't want to be in a relationship with multiple people, then you have to discuss that up front. You know, that say you like cuddling your friends, and would that be acceptable in a relationship? If it's not, you either have to stop cuddling your friends or decide, well, I can't live without cuddling my friends, so I'm not going to be in this relationship. So it's all about, when you're meeting someone, respecting their feelings, wishes, wants, needs, and boundaries just as much as your own. I think that's so important. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I have to be with a guy who has the same boundaries as me. It's no good me being with a guy who, you know, wants to go to cuddle groups and, you know, wants to go around cuddling people. That might be right for them. It might be good for them while they're single to do that. It might be okay for them. They might want to try it out. But, you know, like, they've got to be aware that, you know, they might not get attached to that person they're cuddling, but the other person might get attached to them. So, you know, and I have to say, with some, because I have a lot of friends that are autistic, and some of those friends, you know, that are autistic, they don't have that emotional connection. I'm not saying all autistic friends don't have this, because I've got quite a very good emotional connection with my autistic friends. Well, more, because obviously Sam's on the autistic spectrum, likely, but I wasn't thinking about someone like that. But yeah, so do you know what I mean? So there are some people that are autistic that don't actually, they're not able to form a deep emotional connection with someone. So therefore, if they were cuddling someone, they might think, it might seem there might be no emotion behind it. So there's no attachment there. So there's no feeling behind it. So when they cuddle someone, they don't think, oh, I'm cuddling them, it's intimate, they've got feelings for me. All they do is a cuddle, and there's no connection emotionally to the person. Do you see what I mean? Because a lot of the time, intimacy and emotional connection, they kind of go together, the two, to build deep intimacy, more intimacy. Do you know what I mean? So if, for example, an autistic person's cuddling someone, they might be doing that just to get some good feelings in terms of, oh, I'm cuddling, you know, like someone, but they don't actually mean that they want to be in a relationship with that person, that they love that person. It's just kind of like a thing they do at the time that they need to do. So you just have to be aware of that. I've come across a few situations where, you know, some people, even with mental health difficulties or severe problems, special needs, you might have noticed that they go around cuddling lots of people. If they're very, like, severely kind of like handicapped, for example, or got certain disabilities or special needs, they can be like, I knew someone who had this girl wanting to cuddle him all the time. And I think she did probably fancy him, I don't know, but she had severe problems, which meant she just went around cuddling everyone. Didn't care about their personal boundaries or space. She'd go around cuddling everyone. in the room, because that was kind of like her part of her disability and mental health handicap problems. So, you know, there are things like that. So you have to be aware of that, that if you're with someone who's asexual and autistic, if they cuddle someone else, they might not actually think it's wrong or anything of it. But if you explain in a relationship, you know, if you explain you want to be in a relationship with a person, that you don't think that's a good thing and you wouldn't want that, if that's not what you want, then it's up to them to decide if they could not be that way. But some people that have got certain mental illnesses, or like I said, handicaps or disabilities, it's part of their persona and personality, and they probably would not stop doing that if they got like severe handicap or something like that. Do you know what I mean? There are kind of exceptions where they will go around hugging. I've known some autistic people with severe mental health problems as well. They will hug their teachers, you know, like when it's hugging their teachers, it's not just a normal hug. They will hold on to their teacher more like a cuddle. Do you see what I mean? So obviously you have to understand that there are people in the world that do have these special needs and disabilities and stuff like that. That's part of what they're like in general. And so you either have to accept that about them, or move on to a relationship that's more suitable when you know, you're not freaking out that that's what they're doing with other people if it's not comfortable to you, you know. And you know, again, you have to decide what you think's viable in a relationship or not. I think personally there has to be some differences between a friendship and a relationship, because if there isn't, then everyone would be having a relationship with all their friends, wouldn't they? Do you know what I mean? There has to be some sort of differentiation. Otherwise, how do you know who's a friend and who's you're in a relationship with? Like, I came across a person on ASAP, and I had a nice conversation with them. They seem like a nice person. They might even be watching or watch sometime. So hello to them. I'm not going to say what their name is or anything. And I had a really nice chat with them. And they are younger, British in the UK. So as they're heteromantic, I didn't know if they were interested in a relationship or not, because I met them on the dating app for Asexuals. And so I was having a conversation with them, and they said, oh, yeah, our relationship's like a friendship with cuddles. And then I was like, well, I don't cuddle my friends. I'm strictly monogamous. I'm not polyamorous, so I wouldn't do that with a friend. I don't kiss or cuddle a friend. Do you know what I mean? Because I asked them, I said to them as well, because they said they had a girl that's their best friend and that lives near them, asexual. And I said, so is this girl who's a friend of yours, are they just a friend, or are they someone who you're romantically involved with? And I think that's a really important question to ask, and a fair question. You know, like, I have asexual friends, right? My asexual friends pretty much the majority fancy guys. So I'm clearly not a girl, so really someone's got nothing to worry about with me. But, you know, I think you have to establish that just because someone says they've got friends, just ask them the question, you know, like, is that person more than a friend? Because a lot of people do end up in a relationship with their best friend, because I think honestly that their best friend usually, you know, should be the person you end up in a relationship with, or the person you end up in a relationship with should be your best friend. Do you see what I mean? Or a best friend. Do you know what I mean? It should be like really the deepest friendship. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it's not always the case, but it should be that the person you're in a relationship with is your best friend. It really should. And so, you know, you have to ask the question. So I asked them that, you know, because it didn't say in their status that we're in a relationship. They are on a dating app. So you know, like, you can assume, or I could assume, that they're single, looking for a relationship. Maybe they're even interested in me because they strike the conversation up, or maybe they're just being friendly, because asexuals, a lot of them tend to be friendly, and that can be misconstrued for flirting or interested in more than relationships. So you do have to kind of speak your truth, not just say a conversation. You kind of have to speak what's happening. Do you know what I mean? You have to verbalize what's going on. So I did say to them, you know, if this person's someone you're in a relationship with, or romantically interested in, I said romantically interested in, or do you not feel that way about them? And they said, oh, actually, I don't know what we are. I'd be happy either way. And that's what I mean. If you don't know whether you're in a relationship with someone or not in a relationship with someone, it's a big like what the heck? Do you know what I mean? There has to be some differentiation between whether you're in a relationship or having just a friendship, because otherwise, how do you know? It blurs all the sense of reality and what's going on. It you know, it needs to be clearly defined if you're on a dating site or dating app. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if you're not looking for a relationship with anyone else and you're just like, you know, and you're not in that type of like area, then that's fine. But if this guy's on a dating app and he's not even sure whether he's in a relationship with a woman, a girl who's his best friend or not, like, how is anyone who might be interested in this guy ever gonna actually potentially have a relationship with him? They're not, because if he's not sure whether he's in a relationship with his friend or not, and he'd be happy where he's friends with them all in a relationship, then where does that leave the person that's interested in him? Because he hasn't thought about other people. Do you see what I mean? Do you see where I'm coming from? If he's on a dating app and people may be interested in him for a relationship, I'm not talking necessarily about me, but they might be, because he's on a dating app, but he's not sure he's in a relationship with someone. He hasn't put anything about that on his status. How's that going to be fair or right to a person that comes along that might be wanting a potential relationship with him? Do you see what I mean? And obviously, you know, your best friend, usually, majority of the time, people do end up in a relationship with their best friend if they are attracted to each other and the right gender they're attracted to, obviously. And then they do often end up in a relationship together. It's kind of a natural progression of something that's very deep and got deeper. Do you know what I mean? So I would have no problem with that person being in a relationship with the person if they put that on their status, if it's a dating app and I'm looking to date. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know, where does that leave someone if someone else was interested and then they got no chance? It's like, don't go down that rabbit hole if they're not sure whether, you know. And why would anyone even want to consider being in a relationship with someone who doesn't know whether they're in a relationship with someone else or not? They should have had that conversation. Do you see what I'm saying? You know, there has to be a differentiation between friendship and being in a relationship. But being in a relationship should be with your bestest friend and deep ever friendship at the same time. There clearly has to be some differentiation. Otherwise, all the world would just be in relationship or in a friendship, in a relationship and friendship with everyone. Do you see what I mean? And obviously, we have got a relationship to everyone in the sense of, like, you know, like, not being in a relationship. We've all got a relationship to someone, as in the sense of, you know, like, that person's a supermarket guy, he's putting my food through. Do you know what I mean? But it's really important to establish all these things, and you should never have this grey area, not knowing where you're in a relationship with someone or not. You need to establish things, ask some questions, and ask them outright. You know, because otherwise, if you do want a relationship in the future and you're not sure you're in a relationship with the person or not, that's not been established, you're never going to find the person who's right for you if you really want a relationship. Because if you're with the wrong person or someone can't commit to you, you're not going to be free to have a new love come into your life. They'll give you the commitment, time, energy, and effort that you want and desire. Do you know what I mean? Don't settle for second best. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Do you know what I mean? There's no point. This life is too short, you know? So I think you've just got to, you know what's right for you and know what's right for the other person, and know that two people can have different feelings and different meanings for things. Do you know what I'm saying? So even if you cuddle someone and you don't feel anything for them, it doesn't mean to say they don't feel something for you. Usually, even in friends with benefits, which is like in the sexual world, so the heterosexual's got a woman on the side they're having sex with and they're like claim they don't care about her. Well, usually one of those people in the relationship, in the bit on the side relationship, one of them will be interested in a relationship with the other, even if they don't say it. Do you know what I mean? It's all like the underlying stuff that's really going on that they don't really want to talk about. That, you know, that can't last forever, or if it does, it's going to be miserable. Don't waste your life away on stuff like that. You know, if someone's wanting to keep you hidden and wanting to keep you as their bit on the side, whether that be, you know, whatever type of bit on the side that might be, don't give them that, you know, because unless you can respect and love yourself enough to like go and find someone who you deserve to give you the relationship you want, you're always going to be in this situation which is unhealthy long term for you. You know, if I want to find a relationship, it's no good being with a friend and cuddling them, is it? If I want to go and find a relationship, because, you know, what happens when I find a relationship and that person, I have to say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not cuddling you anymore. I've got a relationship now. Well, they did that to me. Is that going to hurt me? Yes, of course it's going to hurt me or them a bit. Of course it is, because you're used to that warmth, that person being there for you. You're kind of used to that that tenderness, that intimacy. And it's kind of like a bit of a betrayal, isn't it, if they go and do that to someone else? But, you know, and even if it's not a betrayal because you've been blatantly honest and open, someone's going to get hurt. Some feelings are going to get hurt a bit. Because either they're going to, if you get the partner first, they'll be like, well, where does that leave me now? I might be single for the next 2 or 3 years. I've got no one to cuddle anymore. And I really enjoyed doing that with you. Or it's going to be the opposite way around, isn't it? It just doesn't work or bode well. I mean, in terms of cuddle groups, I know people that do go to cuddle groups who are asexual, and they enjoy that and they think it's great. And people that are not asexual go to cuddle groups. I personally couldn't cuddle someone I'm not in a relationship with, like I said before. Because to me, it's a very intimate thing, and, you've got to understand as well, if you're cuddling sexuals, they are going to get a sexual thrill out of it usually. They're going to get an erection or whatever out of you cuddling them. It's just the way it is usually. Do you know what I mean? Unless they're impotent or got a disability and they can't have sex for whatever reason. If they're a sexual person, usually they will get a sexual thrill out of you cuddling them because it's intimate. And like I said, full-on cuddling is usually where your body parts are touching. Do you know what I mean? It's you're getting aroused if you feel aroused. So you get aroused in your body by it. It's not just a friendship experience if I'm getting aroused cuddling someone. Do you know what I mean? So you got to be very careful how you do it. I mean, obviously there are kind of more upper shoulder cuddles and stuff like that you could do. Like if someone's grieving or something like that, you might want to put your arm around their shoulder and stuff like that. But that is still going a level of intimacy that you wouldn't normally go to if you don't do that type of thing. So you know what I mean? It's like you've got to take each situation as it comes, really. But I think people should just do what they feel happy with. I don't think anyone should beat themselves up for something they do or don't do, or they believe is right for them. If they believe it's right for them, then I'm not here to say it's wrong, because whatever you believe is right for you is right for you, just so long as you're making the decision conscious and that you're considering everyone who's involved in that, not just yourself. And that you're also thinking about the subconscious feelings you might have for that person, not just the conscious feelings. Do you know what I mean? Like if I was cuddling one of my friends, I would clearly like them more than a friend. And, and then I would feel like if one of my friends was cuddling me, I would feel betrayed if they then, like, well, that's all I can give. Like if they were enjoying the cuddling, I was enjoying. This is my personal experience, feelings, like thoughts about the situation. If I was cuddling a friend who I really liked, who basically liked me more than a friend, I liked them more than a friend, but we only did the cuddling, I would feel like they were using me a bit. Do you know what I mean? Like that's all they can give me is the cuddles. So where does that leave me? Do you know what I mean? I would feel like, and by letting them do that, I would be kind of letting them use me. Even though we might have agreed to do that, it would feel like they were using me. Do you know what I mean? Because they would only wanted that. That's all they could give me. And that's not enough. That's not what I actually want. I want a proper relationship. Do you know what I mean? And so, I think you have to think about yourself, your own situation, what you want and what the other person wants. Like I said, I mean, there are people that are polyamorous and they will literally have relationships with multiple people. They kiss, cuddle and do whatever with multiple people. But if you're monogamous, you have to think, what does monogamy mean to you and what are your boundaries and things, and sometimes it is hard, I mean, what I'd say is if you like cuddling your friends, then find someone who's comfortable with that, happy with that, and who maybe does that themselves, because just make sure that you've got the right person for you. Do you know what I mean? Like the world's very different. Like I hate BDSM, but I mean, quite a number of asexuals participate in that. I can't stand it. I'd run a mile if anyone was suggesting stuff like that to me. Luckily, none of my exes did, because I don't believe pain is love. I don't associate pain with love or pleasure. I don't associate them at all. They're kind of opposite to me. But, some people do that. So, there's thousands of people, millions of people doing stuff all in secret throughout the whole of the world, doing stuff that they don't want other people to know about because they're ashamed or because they want it to be secret or they think that no one would understand them, so there's thousands, I'm sure, that do cuddle their friends around the world, And so it's you know, it's up to you to judge what's right for you. But I would say, in terms of a relationship, which I give a lot of dating relationship advice, don't get intimate with someone who's just a friend of yours, because it'll blur the boundaries between friendship and relationship, and you won't kind of know where you stand with them. And then you can't move forward with someone else to a new monogamous, we're talking about monogamous relationship, if you're not sure what's happening with the person that you're seeing. Do you know what I mean? There has to be a cutoff point. It's like when you're dating, you know, when you're in the stage of dating, say you're dating like 3 or 4 different people, which I find a really hard concept, but say you are, I've got to try and get used to that concept. Say you are, you know, you've been dating some of them for 3 months, there's got to be a cutoff point where they either want to commit to you and be in a relationship with you, or you get rid. Do you know what I mean? You're like, well, no, I don't want this. You know, if that's not what you want. Obviously, if you just want casual stuff all the time, it's fine. So know what you want in life and discuss it with the people that matter, the people involved. And if all parties are enjoying what's happening and you're totally both okay with it, that's fine. Just be aware that sometimes people say things are okay and they're not actually okay. And don't let any sexuals use you as well to be their bit on their side for the emotional connection and deep bond they can't get with their partner, or, you know, they want to keep that with you. They don't want to lose it, but they don't want to fully commit to you. You deserve better than that. Do you know what I mean? Just be very, very, very wary of that. If you want a relationship and the person doesn't want to give you the full relationship you want, move on. Move on. Don't give them the time of day. Do you know what I mean? Like, some exes will come back into your life and go, oh, I made a mistake, or I want to get back with you. I don't usually ever get back with exes. They're an ex for a reason. That's it. It's over. It's done with. I need to move on to someone who's more right for me, or stay single. Do you know what I mean? You cannot be giving your love and soul and future with someone else if you're hankering after the past. It's like when you move, if you move in with someone, you should be getting rid of your stuff from your ex-boyfriends and stuff like that. You know, you don't want stuff like that hanging around. Do you know what I mean? You want all that negative past energy that had some sadness about it, if it was a sad breakup or whatever for you, and then you want all that out of your life. You don't want to be taking that all into a new relationship, you know. And you need to be cutting off from people so that you can move forward in your life. You know, if there's some unresolved feelings there or unresolved issues, you know, it's not going to bode well, is it, for a new relationship going forward? So anyway, trust yourself, trust your judgment. I know this is a hugely debated topic, because I know some asexuals love cuddling their friends and they would never stop doing it, you know, and that's just the way they are. So, you know, and I have to respect people's differences. I know people are very different to me. So that's fine. We're all different. And I think it's good that there are different opinions and things on there, but just make sure that you're clear going forward on what you and the people involved really, really want, and have open discussions about it. Anyway, I'm gonna love you and leave you for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks, Naila, who was here. Anna, thank you, Heather, so much. Love you. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Sam. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate you. I'm out all day tomorrow, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do my stream tomorrow, because I'm out for a long time. So anyway, if I don't see you on tomorrow's night's live stream, I'll see you the night after. But anyway, I'm going to say good night for now, and love you lots, and I'll see you soon. Don't forget, if you're new to this channel, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And don't forget to share this video with a friend. Oh, bye, Sam. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. Take care, everyone. Bye. Brace your cracky on each other's. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thanks for all the likes so far. Lots of love. Bye. Bye.